Good morning. I'm Reverend Peggy Clark. I'm the Senior Minister at Community Church of New York, and I'm so glad to be here today. Reverend Sophia just set me up really well. If we are going to solve this climate crisis, there are two things we need. And it doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter if we are a congregation or two congregations. It doesn't matter if we're a household. It doesn't matter if we're the United Nations. There are two things everybody needs. We need each other, and we need our imaginations. We need to be able to imagine the new world. And I have been in conversations that are tiny and that are huge. People who feel powerless and people who have power. And those two things are required regardless of who we are. So the first thing that we're going to do today is to model those things. We are going to use our imaginations and we're going to talk to each other. When Reverend Sam and I started this, and I said, I'd like for us to be collaborative. I'd like for us to work together. Let's think about worship. And he said, let's not do what you always do, and let's not do what we always do. Let's create something new. That's the model. That's the model for the new world. Let's create something new. So here we are at worship, sitting at round tables with people we may not know. That's new. And the next thing you're going to do is talk to each other, which I know is crazy, but it's what's going to happen. I'm going to start. I'm going to tell you my vision of the new world. Here's what my imagination does for me. And then you're going to turn to each other and you're going to talk about what your imagination does for you. Just some ideas. So imagine with me the new world. It's 2050. Most people live in cities where transportation has been upgraded and it is readily available. It is safe, it is clean, it is quick, it is reliable. With stronger batteries, electric vehicles are the norm, gas-powered vehicles are gone. Energy is located entirely in renewables so that solar panels are ubiquitous, wind turbines are visible, and geothermal is a household word. Instead of going to big grocery stores with food flowing in from hundreds or thousands of miles away, most food comes from local farmers. Food is provided through cooperatives, and everyone participates in its distribution. You might be partnered with an upstairs neighbor one day and a downstairs neighbor the next. Food is expensive, so everyone supplements by growing their own. Imagine there are rooftop gardens, there are community gardens, there are vertical gardens just hanging off of balconies, right? Just strawberries hanging down, ready to be eaten. Food grows everywhere. In this new world, we're all well aware of how costly food is, and it should be. It requires our most valuable resources: sun, soil, water, human labor, and time. Animal products aren't gone, but we've greatly reduced their consumption. Fish is farmed and managed. Reduction of sugar and processed food helps bring down carbon emissions and improves our collective health. Health services cost less because we need them less often because of these improved diets. 3D printers are readily available, cutting down on the need to make purchases away from home. Imagine this: drones deliver packages, reducing the need for vehicles. Parking garages are generally used for ride sharing. Empty concrete buildings are now used to grow food. Air travel exists, but it's used sparingly and it's costly. People save and plan for slocations where you go away for months. You travel on high-speed trains or boats. You take your work with you if necessary. I'm off to the south of France. I'll see you in 4 months. Automation and 3D printing have made it possible to construct high-quality housing quickly and affordably, used both for citizens and to address the climate refugee crisis. We simply accept that people need to move somewhere else, and we create what they need to live well. Nations recognize that we are not separate entities, but a single group, and we move to help each other. The zeitgeist around the world has changed. We're no longer driven by profit and status, but a desire for balance. We have a new question driving our policymaking. Is it good for all beings on the planet? Not does it make money, not does it give us power, not is it good for me, is it good for all beings? If we can imagine a slower, more cooperative world defined by a community mindset with value placed on the planet and her complicated and balanced systems, if we can imagine, we can create. And so we're going to ask you to talk to the people at your table. And if you're at a table with only one person, just shift yourself over to one of the other tables. And the question for you to ask yourself is, what will the world look like when we start caring for each other as priority and the natural world as priority? What will the world look like? See if you can together, for a few minutes, dream it.
I'd like to share with you some of the key ideas of this climate justice revival. A key idea of this first revival is fostering collaboration rather than competition. Our various economic, social, racial, and environmental teams, committees, task forces are often all competing with each other for congregational attention and member participation. There is so much wrong with the world, so much that urgently needs our attention. And each of us is personally influenced and affected by these problems differently. And all of us have so many other pressing demands, interests, responsibilities, and concerns. How can we possibly do all that needs to be done and keep our lives together? Our climate justice revival is built on the idea of intersectionality, that all of our climate and justice concerns overlap with each other and interconnect. As the UUA climate justice strategist Rachel Mislivy puts it, climate justice is racial justice, gender justice, disability justice, mental health justice, immigration justice, LGBTQIA plus justice, earth justice, and much more. Climate change impacts all of us, but marginalized communities are hurt first and worst by climate disruption and are the least resourced to adapt to and respond to a changing environmental conditions, and that is usually by design. Many of us who are very concerned about climate change have carbon tunnel vision. We focus primarily on a number, 420 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is the current number. And the potential environmental damage that number represents. What may evade our notice is the impact of that number on biodiversity loss, resource scarcity, air pollution, health, overconsumption, inequality, and ecotoxicity, just to name a few carbon-related concerns. To expand our focus to climate justice is a recognition that to address any one issue means that we have to pay attention to the intersectional complexity of all the issues we care about. Audre Lorde has a great quote about this. There is no such thing as a single issue struggle because we do not live single issue lives. One of the important points of this revival is to move from an extractive age to a new era where communities thrive with a shared purpose that puts love at the center of all that we do. We must move away from the consciousness of overwhelm, scarcity, and reactivity to create a process of imagination informed by a mindset that seeks love and abundance, energized by human compassion and connection. To do that, we must work at the intersection of community needs, resources we can contribute, and what brings us joy. Hope is discovered where needs and contribution meet and overlap, where needs and joy overlap, where resource sharing and joy overlap, where they all overlap, liberatory love can be found. So now, as we seek where needs, resources, and joy overlap, many of us have found that overlap with UU the Vote and sending postcards. We had a wonderful meeting here of 130 people all doing postcards on the 19th. And I hope each one of you has a plan to make sure your personal vote counts. At your table now, I encourage you to look for those intersections between the work of your congregation, what it has done in the past, what you maybe feel called to today that you're working on right now, and seeking those interconnections. There may be interconnections between our two congregations that we might discover in our conversations. There might be needs we perceive, and there might be resources that we can contribute, and the joy we might feel participating in that area. So we're going to have another 5 minutes or so of time for you to have conversation about the opportunities you perceive right now for this intersectional connectivity and analysis, as well as looking for connections between your passions and the passions of the people at the table. So take some time for some conversation now.
Soul you so much. Please be seated.